And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to
Yeah, hey people.
Welcome to Your Time Starts Now, a Taskmaster podcast, field recording edition.
Yep, because one of us is quite literally on location somewhere.
Yeah, I missed. I had to go do some stuff, and I misjudged how long it would take. But I did think ahead because I guess it might take longer than I thought it would. And so I brought my laptop, I brought a pair of Bluetooth headphones, and I'm sitting in my car in a parking lot at an undisclosed location in an undisclosed place because I'm not giving that much information out with my real name attached to it. And yeah,
I mean, who's going to come to the parking lot the car park, excuse me, because I'm British, where you are now in the span of about 8 days when you could just go home?
Close enough to, yeah. Never give out more information than you have to.
Joseph, you're 25. Stop whining like a baby.
Really, Emmy? You're gonna give that?
No, Emmy is... No one calls me Emmy unless it's like a close... Alright, we should establish...
Okay, let's do the episode.
No. Hold your horses. We need to establish some ground rules, my friend. Emmy is reserved for extremely close female friends, which I totally have lots of.
You can't say it like that because I don't believe you.
I mean, that was kind of the whole point.
I know. Okay, now with that out of the way.
We're 2 minutes in, and you've probably laughed the hardest you have ever laughed in about 12 episodes of this podcast.
Yep.
13 if you include the bonus one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of bonus episodes, if any of you listeners out there would like to have like strong opinions about the show or what we've said on the show, do get in touch with us. We've already gotten in contact with a couple of people who have left us detailed comments and emailed us at ytsnpod@gmail.com. And we might be having a couple of them on like a special Have Your Say style episode in the near future. So if you would like to be included amongst those people, do drop a line.
I just want to say that if your audio in the final version sounds as bad as it does to me now, people might have to throw their headphones across the room with your laughter.
I apologize for that because
it's funny because we need because I mentioned last week that maybe we could have a compilation of some of the funniest moments on our podcast, and the funniest moments are normally when you laugh, because my laugh sounds like I'm faking it.
No, I would like to apologize for my audio. These are my Bose QC35-2 noise canceling headphones, which I've never had an issue with the sound quality before, but it also occurs to me I don't think I've ever actually used these to record like high quality audio as opposed to make a phone call.
Okay.
So this is actually, for those of you who listened to episode 1 of season 3, which should be going up tomorrow, even though...
Yeah, tomorrow. I mean, it might even be going up today, depending on when we finish recording this episode, because it is 5 to 11 in the evening in the United Kingdom, where I am located.
It's 5 to 6 here in the States. But
must still be light outside.
Oh, yeah, no, it is. That's why I'm not too put out by having to be outside recording this.
That's
because I had outside, when you said, but it's like this parking lot is next to train tracks. So unless you want
and do you like trains?
I do like trains too, but a train is not suitable background music for this podcast.
Surely there's like a 2-hour train sounds on YouTube or something.
Yeah, I don't listen to those.
You do or don't want to listen?
I don't. Do you know why? And this is getting the banter.
Okay,
this is good.
We've got train sounds for sleep. 2 hours inside carriage.
Inside the train. Let me just make that very clear. Inside
the top video's 1 hour and 59 minutes and 33 seconds, so they're liars.
Emerson, the outside of a train is so immeasurably more noisy that, how about this? The next time a train comes by, I'll roll down the window and we can see how loud it is.
When you say roll down the window, you're saying you have a crank that you sort of like turn to move the window down, or do you not just have an automatic button that does it?
I have a button, but roll down the window is the
I can hear it.
Yeah, that's the window in my car. But
we would just say put the window down. Okay. You called me Emmy in the Zencastr invitation link.
I did, because you didn't get the first one when I said Emerson.
I did. They both seem to arrive pretty much at exactly the same time for some reason.
Yours shows up as Emerson, so if I have to send you a second one, it says Emmy. Because I figure it'll be fun.
I just want to... I'm actually not going to say it, because some people thrive on reverse psychology.
Sure thing. But, yeah.
Anyway, well over 6 minutes in, welcome to Your Time Starts Now, a Taskmaster podcast. I am Emerson.
And I am Joe.
And today we will be talking about...
Season 3,
do you want to do this?
2. I don't, because I'm looking at my notes right now, and I've come to the sudden realization I forgot to write down the title of the episode.
Okay. Today... we will be covering Series 3, Episode 2 of Taskmaster, The Dong and the Gong.
Yep, it is. It's a great episode, this one.
Oh yeah, this is a fantastic episode. Although, with not really a great deal to talk about in terms of task content.
Yeah, this is actually really weird. I would like, for those of you who have been listening to our 2-hour-ish episodes, this is definitely going to be on the shorter side, even without the fact that I'm on a limited-ish time span because I'm on a laptop computer with a battery. Because really, most of what our episodes consist of is banter, and I don't have any super...
I think everyone, including myself, is going to hold you to that, because, you say it's going to be on the shorter episode, it ends up being, 2 hours long.
I don't have any banter today. As you noted last week, most of the banter that we get is in before the episode and the prize task, and I don't have any real new personal stuff that's gone on in the last week-ish.
Neither do I, really. Other than
other than your what?
My month as a vegan ended. I'm still going to carry over some things, but it was kind of nice to just go back to eating a little bit less of a plant-based diet. But who knows, maybe I'll take up veganism full-time again in the future.
Oh, I was listening to the episode, and here, we can have our little bit of banter to the audio because we proof it. I never told you why I was really not in favor of plant-based meat, and it's because if I wanted to eat something that was plant-based, I wouldn't want it to taste like meat. I would want it to taste like it was plant-based. That was my main opposition to stuff like the Impossible Burger.
Well, the reason it tastes like meat is so that you don't miss the taste as much when you decide to go to plant-based diets.
Well, no, I know that, but if I'm going on a plant-based diet, I want to know I'm on a plant-based diet, because otherwise there's no point. It's none of this it's just the same. It's like, I'd rather it not be the same. I'd rather it be as different as possible. Because if I wanted something that tasted like meat, I would eat
You'd eat meat.
Because also, as another thing, real meat is keto. And if I'm going to be going on any special diet, I would much more be likely to go on the keto diet than a vegan diet. And there's a large amount of carbs in plant-based meat products. So that's just a personal thing for me. It's not belittling anyone's choices, but I realized after I listened through last week's vegan discussion that I never really articulated that point.
Okay. There's couple more things I want to say in regards to the last episode, and this question applies to both you and anyone who's already listened to the episode. Did you like the little surprise right at the very end?
What little Emerson? I turned it off at like the last 5 minutes. Why?
Oh, I kind of don't want to say this without spoiling the surprise.
Then don't do that. I'll listen to it again because I have been listening to that.
Well,
thing
just
on
go.
And off
Well, if you want to
days.
do it now, if you want to do it right, just go to like the last 5 seconds of the episode and you'll hear it. I can wait. In the meantime,
how am I going to do this on my phone while I'm sitting here on the thing with you? Let me put this on. Here, yeah.
I guess we owe the people an apology.
Oh, for God's sake!
Yes.
How do I open this?
Yeah, that's our last episode. I'm getting deja vu. No, actually, no, it's not deja vu. Just like, can't you just go, like drag the thing and scroll right to the very end?
I'm on my phone and it's doing a weird thing where it doesn't open in an app that I can use.
This is I hate to reference an earlier title. This is great content, trademark.
Here, hold on. I've found.
Like, go to
Candy. I thought that maybe they were using like.
No, like the last like 5 seconds as we say
Yeah,
goodbye.
Also,
oh, for God's sake, it turned off. Why? You know what? We'll do this later.
All right, okay. If you listened all the way to the end of the first episode, you will know what I'm talking about, listeners at home. And anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention is my dad started listening briefly to the podcast. And I just want to keep in mind, my dad has never seen any pictures of you. He really doesn't know anything about you. And so he only listened to about 10 minutes as well.
What
I don't
is
know
your dad's opinion of me?
You know what the big question he asked though was? Is he overweight?
Oh, come on! Really?
Yes.
That's the after 10. What 10 minutes did he listen to?
I don't know, but unless you'd said that you were overweight sometime in the first 10 minutes of an earlier episode.
The only time I would have done it. Now I'm self-conscious. Great.
I'll tell you. No, hey, no. Look, I sort of stuck up for you though, and I used your own words as I did it. I said he is overweight, but I've seen pictures of him, and he carries it superbly.
Thank you. I'd ask him the next time you see him what 10 minutes he listened to.
Well, if I can get his attention in between now and next episode, I'll have him record a personal apology for his assumption.
Bless you, Emerson. That would be hilarious. That would be hilarious content.
And then it's really just me putting on a fake voice.
Oh my God. But
anyway, that's really all I had to say. If you can pull up the final 5 seconds of last episode,
I will do that, and I will send you my response.
Well, please do so quick, because I will want to chuck it right in the middle there. If you do send your response, I'll put it in now. Hey, this is Emerson from Sometime in the Future. Joe didn't send me his reaction to the very end of Series 3, Episode 1, so I can't include it. Sorry, maybe he'll do it next time. Back to the episode. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
So, Taskmaster Series 3, Episode 2, The Dong and the Gong.
Top line in my... Yeah, I want you to do the prize task for this one, but because I want to do the other task, but before we start with that, my top note here is Alex stole a car. That is the top note I have. in which during the pre-show banter, Greg has provided Alex with like his own resume.
Yeah.
And so Alex is reading off what he has supposedly done, and among the things it says is that he steals things, and he just sort of very innocently says, "Oh yeah, I stole a car," and Greg's like, "No, in real life, this is for the show," and he's like, "Oh no, I stole a car. When? Last year." So that would have been 2015 when this aired. So that's...
Unless Alex is joking, which he most likely is, I mean, a possible theory is that he was playing a video game. I know he said in real life, but maybe Alex was playing the video game so much that the line started to blur between fantasy and reality for him.
I've had that happen to me before. I haven't stolen a car, but I've had that happen.
So the prize task itself is the heaviest...
You don't want to address that at topic at all?
What, the stealing of the car?
The video game blur... I said that. You very quickly changed the topic that the video game, sometimes reality does blur.
I mean, I didn't think you had any more to say, if I'm being honest.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you were going to say, like, what has Joe done? What has he done?
If you want to I mean, as someone who's okay with being proven wrong, I'm more than welcome to be proved wrong.
Oh, no, I haven't done anything, but I got really into playing Just Cause 2. Just Cause 3, actually, for a while. And one of the things in Just Cause 3 is that anything that's red and white striped, or has, like, red lights on it, is a destructible object. And the drive I take every day during that time period went right by a set of, like, radio transmission towers with blinking red lights on the top. And every day during that time period, I was like, if I use my grappling hook, I can do that, and then I can use my grenade launcher. It's like, wait a minute. What grappling hook? What grenade launcher?
Oh, no. I mean, a video game called Just Cause would be quite interesting.
Just because.
Just because we can. Anyway,
that's just GTA. Really. But yes, on to the episode.
The prize task. And the prize category is the heaviest item that can fit in a shoebox. I don't know why I said it like that. So Greg comes to Paul first, and Paul brings in...
melon in it.
Okay, so Paul's brought in some melon in it.
Melon in it.
I'm going to have a lot of sound bites of Paul Chowdhury this series, aren't I?
Yeah, there's going to be some this episode. I actually have two different bits in my notes where it's like, just have Emerson play the soundbite is in there.
I mean, anyway, Paul brings in, and I quote, melon in it. I actually wrote melon in it.
Melon in it.
And, but before all that, I just want to acknowledge the way Greg and Paul, sort of like said hello to each other.
Yeah, that was.
And that
great.
as Paul asks Greg how he's doing, like really offhandedly, and Greg leans in and is like, "I'm all right, mate. How are you?" And actually, I want to try and get closer. I'm going to move up. I've just moved my pop filter out of the way.
Oh no!
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Oh, bless you, Bose Technologies, for not making that sound like ass.
What, did it sound all right? It
didn't blow my ears out, but it didn't sound great, but I know it can sound worse.
Maybe, emphasis on maybe, in the editing room, I will amplify it to high hell and back so it's basically inaudible.
Please don't. You did that with the Taskmaster Joe drop in last week's episode, and it's really...
I mean, really, I fixed that. I fixed it, though, didn't I?
You did it. I don't remember which version I last listened to, because we had several different versions of this episode.
Well, I got some new headphones that made everything sound a bit more different to my last headphones. So I really had to try and quieten down the sound bites, with the exception of one.
I'm sure it will all be fine. I will listen to it again when I do the video tonight.
Anyway, Paul's melon in it.
Melon in it.
Clocks in at 3.6 kilograms. And Paul makes some weird gesture with his hands like he's cupping a pair of boobs.
Yeah, because
I don't.
that was his explanation for why melons are heavy.
Oh.
Because, and I'm guessing that this reference was a little bit lost on
Melons
you.
is slang for breasts.
Yes, it is. Yeah, he was he was implying that boobs are that he would have stuffed a pair of boobs in there, but he didn't have any at hand. I mean, would be weird.
Maybe on some like drag website, you could have got a pair of like strap-on ones.
Fake.
Or
yeah.
maybe he could have got some like actual silicone breast implants.
Yeah, or maybe the scary brown clown from the next thing could have
spooky foreshadowing.
Spooky foreshadowing could have cut someone to pieces. Who knows?
Anyway,
but he did not. He just got watermelon.
So forget George Foreman. We've got Dave Gorman, and he's brought in a lump of marble from his garden. That's mostly the only explanation we get, apart from the fact that it might have come from a collapsed bird table.
Yeah, he said it was a very overgrown garden when he moved in, but he found it after he made it unovergrown.
Like he pruned and sheared it until it was nice, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You're on top form today. Anyway,
I am a little distracted. I apologize.
I mean, I think we peaked too soon with this episode, if I'm being honest.
Hey, sometimes it can only go downhill. And so that would be the great episode title.
What?
But it can only go downhill from here.
It's a little bit on the wordy side, and I want to try and keep titles a little bit on the shorter side.
Okay.
Who knows? We might come up with something a bit better.
We might just call it Emmy.
I love how we just like have to because we have to have this like episode title conversations somewhere in the middle of this, so that we can remember what we're actually going to call the episode.
Yeah, we do a lot of our production in the middle of producing the video.
Yeah,
it's fun. Anyways, what did Al bring in? Because Al's actually made me laugh when he brought it up.
So, Al Murray, well-renowned British comedian and pub landlord, brought in a copy of Alan Bullock's Hitler and Stalin Parallel Lives, and he described it as heavy because I assume it's a lot to digest, and
there's a lot of historical weight behind it. Exactly.
So, the book only weighs about 0.9 kilograms. Doesn't come across particularly well with Greg. But oh well, it could have been a lot worse, as we will see with Sarah Pascoe, who's brought in a poisonous snake, and it's very, very heavy, according to her. But
poisonous snake, both in quotation marks.
Should we spoil it, or should we wait until the end?
We can spoil it. The snake isn't real. Actually, we are never told if the snake is real or not, because
we've seen that. We see it right at the end as I just want to check who won. Who won? The person who won this episode goes up to open all the shoeboxes, and when they open Sarah's shoebox, we can see it's a stuffed toy snake, like you probably get from the gift shop at a zoo, with a heavy weight inside it.
Of course it was, but yes, Sarah claimed that
it's put as
a special trainer to approach the box.
It's put with a question mark, KG. Also, what I love about Sarah's like, could you? I think Sarah's asked to give to estimate the weight of it, and then she asks how heavy Dave's marble was, and then just says a bit up from that.
Yeah, she knew it was bullshit. I think she was kind of hoping that nobody else had brought anything substantial.
Yep, but to be fair, though, this was all. You go first.
In fairness to her, the only other thing that's there is that comes close is actually what Rob Beckett brought. And so if it had just been people thinking like Paul and Dave and Al, she actually might have won with her stupid trick.
She probably would have, but Rob, he brought in a slab of concrete with some paw prints in it. And he says that cat will not leave me alone. Now, the first time I heard Rob say that, because I listened to the episodes on a slightly faster speed, what he actually does is he starts to say that cat will never, but he changes never to not midway through the word. But
I
it
thought
ends up
that
sounding.
he put the cat in the concrete or something, like that was the implication.
No, he
Did
says
I mishear that?
Yeah, what I misheard is that because it was so fast, I didn't catch the fact that Robert changed words mid-sentence, and I thought he said, that cat will never not leave me alone. Which, and it's like, wouldn't the slab of concrete, if that was the case, wouldn't the slab of concrete with the cat's paws on it be sort of like a nice memento to Rob, unless he found the cat horrifically fucking annoying. And also, I should say, this is a weak prize task. I'm sorry.
It definitely is not one that I would mind losing.
I feel like
most of these ones, like, because we're gonna do in a moment. What would you bring in?
We've got a couple of prize tasks that I just wouldn't want to win the episode for the sake of it. I think there's another one this series. But I think
imagine with you, I'd be more upset with losing the shoebox than I would
probably, yeah.
Because my shoebox. Go ahead.
I was going to say we've come only in the span of about
26 minutes,
5-10 episodes of the actual Taskmaster. We've gone from having contestants put their wedding rings, their cars, thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds on the line, to just a shoebox with some melanin.
Yeah, it's not a great prize task, but they can't all be winners.
I feel like definitely. I think Series 10, for example, has some really, really, really weak prize categories and some really, really, really weak prizes to go along with it.
Well, I haven't watched season 10 yet, so we'll have to get there when we get there. Because I'm very interested.
Series 10's a fine series. Series 10's a fine series, but the prize tasks really, really fell from grace, especially by that point. Anyway, so the scores are as follows. Dave Gorman obviously brought in the heaviest thing with his slab of marble, so he gets 5 points. Rob Beckett gets 4. Al Murray's book gets 3 because of I think it's something to do with how heavy means in that context.
It has more historical weight than 3.6 kilograms of melon.
Exactly. So Paul goes in 4th, and Sarah Pascoe, because her snake was not weighed, comes in last.
Correct. And then what would you bring in for this, Emerson?
What would I bring in? What's a heavy item that I can fit in a shoebox? Oh,
well, actually, this comes up with a really good question: is what size shoe are you?
Oh no, I think I have a very interesting idea. What if, obviously this is entirely hypothetical, but maybe I could make a I could essentially have a custom-made shoebox that is about the size of a sofa or something.
I want to see the shoe that goes in it.
And then I would just put a very large random object from my house into that shoebox.
Why not just put the sofa?
So it's a sofa, yeah, probably. And I mean, if you need an extra sofa in your house, and it would be a bloody good prize too. It would turn what would have been a pretty shite prize task into one with slightly more interest.
Now,
basically you could win a sofa.
Now, I would not have gone in that direction whatsoever, because I would not have considered getting a custom shoebox made. I have size 14 feet. So U.S. men's
What?
size 14 is my shoe
Oh, wait,
size.
hang on. So that's about, let me just check.
It's good. While you do that, so I have size 14 feet, which means that, and I wear high top shoes a lot, which means that my shoes are my shoe boxes are normally about a foot by like 1 square foot, if not a little bigger, depending on what brand I've bought. And
what size were you? 14?
14.
14. Once we get into double figures, it only... Look, wait, hang on. I'm reading US shoe sizes to UK.
I'm wearing them right now. UK size 13. I apologize.
Wow. But anyway, I'm just looking at this website. Hang on, I'll send it a screenshot. And you can put it on the YouTube video. And this is why I encourage people to watch our YouTube videos, because you can get some of the reference pictures that we mentioned.
Oh, Emerson, I've been getting slammed at work. I haven't been doing that for the last couple episodes. Just because I have not had the time. We should give us money somehow. We'll pay someone else to do it.
No, I think what we should do is just create like a show notes page, I guess, and just we can just like, I don't know what, starting. I mean like just like reference pictures or sound.
Well, no, I just don't. Oh, it's show notes is not a site. Okay.
But it's more of a term. I think. Starting with series 4, I'll see if we can get a website to put or just like a very basic site to just put the pictures that correspond to the episodes on. That will save you lots of time with the YouTube videos, because you basically won't need to put the pictures in.
That's a great idea. We could just
but you will need to link the website.
Yeah, no, I can throw everything into like an Imgur page, and that'll be much quicker. We might do that this episode. Check in the description to see if I bothered to do that or not.
I mean, it'd be a weird thing to start mid-series.
I mean, we could.
Anyways, let's not overpromise and underdeliver so early on.
That's true. But anyways,
yeah, we won't. I should stress, we won't have show notes for Series 3, but that's only 3 more episodes after this.
Yes. More mid-episode production notes done with.
Yeah.
We're going to go on
come on, we're 32 minutes in. I don't suppose you can do Taskmaster Joe. You can't do Taskmaster Joe for this.
Not for this one, especially because...
It's all numbers-based.
Because I was actually kind of in the air as to whether or not I would give Al the... 3rd or 4th, because I'm not sure whether I would have done it strictly by weight or not, but like the heaviness of Hitler and Stalin in historical context, it's reasoning enough. I might not have been so hard on Paul. Like if you want to play like one note of the Taskmaster Joe theme, I'd just say that I'd put Al behind Paul.
What if I did the theme so fast you can't hear it?
You could do that.
I love playing around, because the jingle was just like a thing that I was kind of embarrassed about, and we do things that I'm not sure other podcasts do. We play around with our jingles. We make them shorter. We make them longer. We make them obscenely loud. We make them obscenely quiet.
We have fun with it, but I'm potentially I'd move Al behind Paul. Just because I think Greg did that more out of a desire to be critical to Paul than to support Al. But other than that, everything else I'm fine with. But moving on to the first VT task, we have surprise Alex when he emerges from the shed. You have 1 hour. So to set the scene, Alex is in the shed at the Taskmaster house. He is in there he says he's doing secretarial work, and when he will emerge in 1 hour, and he must be surprised.
He does a couple of different activities, I should say, and also we should mention the fact that Al and Sarah both wanted to kidnap Alex's children.
His children. Yeah, that was my next line. They wanted to kidnap his children, have them tied up.
Both their reactions were incredible.
Can we play the soundbite of Al going, "Where are his how far away are his children?"
Of course, we'll play the whole thing. Maybe should we include Greg talking in that too?
No, just that, because that bit by itself is funny enough.
All right.
Okay, we're going to...
How far away do his family live?
Go and kidnap his children from school. He comes out the shed and there they are. That would surprise him, wouldn't it?
Are his kids in school? What if he kidnapped his kids? Tied them to a chair outside the shed. I mean, that would surprise him.
And then, but especially because, as you mentioned, Greg also notes that it's not that it would have been surprising enough for his children to be there, but both of them wanted them to be tied up, which is slightly sociopathic. But speaking of slightly sociopathic, we've got, actually no, psychopathic would be the better term. We've got Paul Chowdhury. Okay, so Alex opens the door.
Also, I think we should say that the task was delivered in the form of a Jack-in-the-Box.
I was about to say that it was
which is what Paul tried to replicate with this.
Yeah, it was a very teeny tiny Jack-in-the-Box with a teeny tiny desk on a little piece of paper. It was very cute. Rob mentions that good things come in small packages, which I'm sure his girlfriend and wife loves that. But
I mean, I will say before I continue that, I've been watching Rob and Ramesh. It stars exactly who you think it stars. Versus. Basically, Rob and Ramesh just take on a bunch of either famous people in their jobs, or a different activity, and they get topless quite a couple of times.
Really interesting.
Yeah, and also they do drag, and it is genuinely quite. Rob and Ramesh both do drag, and I thought Ramesh
also they do drag.
In Rob and Ramesh versus, not in general as like a side job. But I would just say, I thought Ramesh Ranganathan shaving his beard off entirely would be the most disturbing thing I'd see in recent times. But I was absolutely wrong.
Yeah. But anyways, so moving right along, we have Paul. It was in fact delivered in a little Jack-in-the-Box. Paul decides to replicate this, but he's going to make it a scary clown. So he has a little bit of blood on the edge of the box. And then when Alex gets near it, he jumps out and has like a bloody axe, goes, "Rah!" And he is in fact the brown clown, as he calls himself. But what we should focus on far more than anything else is the fact that Paul came up with this idea in about 15 minutes and elected to sit inside the box, or crouch inside that box, for the rest of the hour, 45 whole minutes. Which
I don't know if I should be impressed or really
all night.
Shocked.
Be real worried about Paul Chowdhury, just in general. But anyways,
I mean, I want to say my perspective on Paul Chowdhury has changed slightly. I do not hate Paul Chowdhury. He definitely gets under my skin a lot, but he's fine.
Paul is a thoroughly weird individual.
Yes, I will. I still stand by the fact that his appearance on the official Taskmaster podcast was really, really not good. But generally, he's funny with sometimes just how pathetic he can be.
Interesting.
I mean, to be fair though, Paul has some relatively good moments coming up. Not in this episode, sadly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
For Sarah, then we have Sarah. And my notes for Sarah read as thus: a murder occurs. Joel is dead. Alex is blamed. Because Sarah started screaming. Alex comes out of the shed. A man who was presumably on the production staff, named Joel, is sitting in a chair pretending to be dead, and there is a bloody note that says Alex did it. Alex again goes, "That's quite horrible," because he also said that for Paul's task. And it's great because and to quote Alex directly, because actually, no, this is Greg quoting Alex directly, because Greg says, "I normally don't get much input from Alex when the tasks are done, but he did tell me," and this is a direct quote, "for the smallest part of a second, I did think that Sarah had maybe killed someone." Which is just the funniest thing I've ever heard. that, you know, the fact that Sarah Pascoe is that unpredictable is wonderful. But then following that, we have the namesake of this episode, the Dong and the Gong. Al Murray. Okay, so
can I play the soundbite first?
Yes.
Okay, soundbite. Now explain.
Yes. So Alex opens the door of the shed. There is Al Murray, almost entirely naked except for his hat, his shoes, and his underwear. He is stamping on 4 different air horns that are embedded into the ground and banging on a gong that has appeared seemingly from nowhere, where he is making a lot of noise and is also wearing extremely tight boxers. Not briefs, I'm sorry. He is wearing extremely tight briefs, which means that his particular little Al can be seen quite distinctly through the underwear. So so there we get the Dong and the Gong. It is quite a shocking sight. What is even funnier about this is that the gong itself was not provided. Al happens to live near the Taskmaster house, as do you, Emerson, also played music on the side. So he was, and to quote Alex directly, he happened to know a place where he could source a gong within an hour, which is such a lovely sentence. In this particular instance, he happened to know a specific gong rental shop. Do you know with this place at all?
Hang on.
While you look up for the gong rental place, it's hilarious. It's one of the funnier moments from this. Well, almost the funniest, except that for Rob Beckett. But while in between this and Dave Gorman and Rob Beckett's moments, we do have the commercial break, the first commercial break in this episode, which ordinarily we don't mention.
I found a website called Rent-A-Gong. But I don't think it's near.
Can we have that be the episode name? Rentagong.com. That would be a great episode title.
Yeah.
But anyway,
forget the Pentagon. It's the Rent-A-Gong.
Rent-A-Gong. But anyways, just to mention the commercial break, because we don't normally do this. In this specific instance, it features Alex through the magic of CGI, standing on the diorama of the Taskmaster house that we last saw in the Look Under
Series
the Table
2 finale
from the Season 2 finale, which I just thought was a little interesting thing to note. Moving on to Dave Gorman, my sole note says Gorm Hub because Alex exits the shed and all of the camera crew are naked or in their underwear, except for one guy who actually did get naked and had to wear a box around his waist as to not set off the sensors. Then Alex walks across to the second part of this, where there is the Jack in the Box rule. It says, Alex, don't press the blue button. Before he can press the blue button, it says, Alex, press the blue button. Before he can do so, Dave, fully clothed, jumps out and scares Alex.
He just goes,
yes, the surprise factor in that one is very long. It goes over a minute or so, and then it is revealed that while Al Murray did source the gong, we don't know how much money he spent on that. Dave Gorman, we do know, paid the 4 members of the film crew that we see on camera £200 collectively to
I wish we knew how much money Al Murray spent on that gong, because you know how we said we'd try and calculate how much money Al Murray spent. Should we put a price on? Should we see? We won't put a price, but we'll see how much. How much does it cost to rent a gong for an hour? And
I'd
we'll
say
use that as a
300.
sort of...
I'd say anywhere from 150 to 300 pounds, depending on, whether this is a place that lets you do hourly or if you have to go by the day.
I found a place in Edinburgh that does a gong rental, but keep in mind these gongs are only about half a meter in length, and Al's gong is clearly more than that. So
it's almost as tall as he is.
Yeah, so these gongs in Edinburgh that are 50 centimeters with a stand, you get £9.75 for one day.
That does not seem like a lot of money. My estimate.
I'd say Al definitely didn't rent this gong for more than a day. So
Yeah.
I'd say should we say £20?
Let's make it 50, just because he might have shelled out for them to deliver it.
Okay. Al Murray, if you're listening to this, please reach out to us at ytsmpod@gmail.com, or even come onto the podcast to defend your decision and say how much it actually cost you to rent that gong. And we will listen to the story, and if we are wrong in our assumption that it's £50, we will deduct or add the amount of money as necessary to your new total as how much you've spent over the series. Okay. So we've talked about... It's just Rob Beckett left, isn't it?
Yes. My note says Rob has a breakdown, and then in, parentheses, play the soundbite.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Alex, you've been a bad boy.
There's quite a lot going on there.
Are you surprised?
It's quite surprising, yeah. Quite surprising. Thank you, Rob. Thank you for that.
I'm sorry, you're right. Are you wet?
Okay, we're back.
Because you can't not play the soundbite. For the visually impaired among us who might not have seen this, Rob is dressed as an old woman, sitting on a couch. He has a pressure washer with him, and when the door flings open, he shouts, "Alex, you've been a bad boy," and then starts spraying Alex with the hose while laughing maniacally. That's it. That's it. That's all he does. This is, and it's just frightening because you're clearly seeing someone have a mental breakdown in front of them. As Rob confirms, when
so many people have mental
studio,
breakdowns on camera on Taskmaster, do they?
Well, no, this one wasn't because of Taskmaster. This is because the week before he'd had a child, and in the preceding 7 days he'd had 10 hours of sleep total. So that's actually, it's very interesting. I wonder how that influenced his decision making throughout the series. We'll have to keep that in mind.
Also, there was something I wanted to add regarding Dave Gorman. He paid the crew £200 in total to take off their clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that if we don't factor in the gong money, because we don't know exactly how much, that brings Dave Gorman's amount spent on a task to higher than Al Murray's currently.
How much did Al Murray pay for the other one? Was that 150?
I think he paid about 150 quid for the taxi.
Yeah. I thought you were going to ask, as someone in the studio did, whether or not that counted as prostitution, which it probably does not, because that probably counts more as stripping than it does prostitution. But moving right along from that.
Also, you okay?
Yeah, never mind. Keep going.
Greg says that he saw Rob's teeth grow as he laughed his head off at Alex. And Rob says that's what happens when he gets excited. You know what I think Rob looks like? You know those chattering wind-up teeth with eyes on them?
Yes. Oh my God, that I have seen those.
That's
great.
what he looks like. Anyway, the scores are as follows. Rob Beckett storms the task with 5 points. Al Murray, very, very close second, gets 4. Dave gets 3. Sarah gets 2. And the brown clown gets just 1 point. Which means...
And we don't need to do Taskmaster Joe, because I agree with all of that.
Okay, brilliant. Wow, there's not a lot of Taskmaster Joes this episode, are there?
Yeah. Actually, there's not going to be one for this next task either.
No, there's not, because this is another... Anyway, let's talk about this. So the task is very simple. You have to release Alex. And I like this task because it's like an escape room.
It is. It's a very interesting task. It should also be noted this is a team task. It's the first team task of the series.
So we've got the Beards, which is Al, Dave, and Paul. And we've got the Aryan twins.
What did they say? There was some modifier in front of the disturbing Aryan twins or something.
I think
they called them in the studio.
The evil twins or something.
Something.
But
like
anyway,
that.
Whatever it is, it prompts Rob Beckett to say,
Mummy says we're good at puzzles.
So before they actually start the task, Sarah notices a little troll doll pen thing, and she asks if it's called a gonk, and is corrected by Rob. Both teams open the task and just read your time starts now. So do you think I should explain the process in which to free Alex if you followed all the steps possible first?
Yes, you should, because that's actually that's how that was shown. Actually, by showing
the Aryan twins,
Sarah.
I think the Aryan twins, I think did the entire process. Well, actually, both teams did the entire process, but the Aryan twins were a lot more to the point with it. Anyway,
Rob and Sarah did it correctly for a given definition of correct.
They wasted very little time. Actually, that's a lie. But anyway, I'll quickly run down what the system is. So there's so the task just reads your time starts now. It doesn't give any explanation to anything. But there's a box of pens next to the task, and one of them has a UV light, so you can see things written in invisible ink. So they shine it on the task, and it says, "Release Alex. Fastest wins. Your time starts now."
I would like to note, it was done in the Taskmaster font, which is very interesting because that means they would have had to find some way to put invisible ink in a printer, which I didn't know you could do.
I think invisible ink works with like mixing. I think if you write in lemon juice,
No. I know that, but they did it in the same font as the rest of the task, which normally that would be done either because it's not a typewriter. We use a font for like the logo on this called Veteran Typewriter.
I think that's the font they use for the show as well.
It might be, or it might be some like bespoke version of Veteran Typewriter. But the thing is, the invisible ink was done in Veteran Typewriter. So they would have had to have like done some sort of mechanical printing process or like with a printer or some other thing. And I think it's very interesting they did it using invisible ink.
Anyway, I'll continue explaining. So
yes.
This prompts both teams to look behind Alex to see that his arms have been handcuffed behind his back. So they have to release Alex. With the UV torch, you're supposed to flip the task over and it'll say, look on the phone. Now, there are several phones this could be referring to. Both teams immediately go for like the physical phone that's off to like the side of the sofa. But
and there's also a bunch of photos of phones on the walls.
Yeah, but the photo
just for this reason.
The photo they're supposed to go to is the photo of Greg, because every season there's a different picture of Greg behind the desk in the living room portion of the Taskmaster house. Would you call it
the main room that most of the tasks are given
the main
and
Taskmaster
in this-
room, and it's
and
like
in
a
this
very it's a very
season,
pop arty
it's-
Andy Warhol looking.
Oh, I thought it was like more of a. It's more of a comic book style.
Oh yeah,
I thought.
comic book, because isn't Andy Warhol and this Andy Warhol style is another series.
They have done Andy Warhol style, but not right in this season.
Yeah, because the picture's different each series. I know there's definitely an Andy Warhol style one somewhere. I think there's one of like the photo of the man in the bowler hat and the apple over his face, which weirdly we have a coat hanger. We have not a coat hanger, a key hanger styled after that picture.
That's great.
There's one of Greg. Should I quickly Google the name of the picture?
No, I know exactly what it is, and we can look for it later.
Man with bowler. The Son of Man is what it's called.
Son of Man, yes.
Anyway,
but,
so...
it's a very famous piece of modern art.
Yeah, so anyway, you're supposed to use the UV light to look on the phone, and it will reveal a 3-digit code, which is 911. And what this code does is it opens up a small box with a combination on it. And inside the box are pieces to build a jigsaw. And the clue is written on the pieces of the jigsaw. But the catch is the pieces are on the clue's written on the underside of the jigsaw. And so the clue says it's a specific reference in a book. Karma by Greg Davies.
Is it Gregor Davies? I thought it was Gregor Davies. Like this was not something that Greg had written, I thought. Or maybe it was. I didn't hear the full title. And I'm not up to date with what Greg has written.
I mean, if I type in Greg Davies... If I type in Greg Davies, I obviously get the Greg Davies himself. Anyway, it's Greg Davies, something along those lines. But it's... page 72, word 14. Page 72, word 14, which is shedding. And from there, anyone with common sense would go to the shed. And inside the shed is a Christmas cracker. You pull the Christmas cracker, and inside you unfortunately don't find Frank Skinner's leather cracker crown hat. Instead, you find... Wait, what do you find? Oh, and it says, look behind the pictures. Look behind the picture,
Look behind the picture.
And these include this. It's not behind the big picture of Greg on the phone. That's already been used. This is the pictures in the hall. And behind one of the pictures in the hall... Do you want to say what you want to say?
Well, no, I'd just like to note that both teams, because it's one of the pictures that hangs up on the hall of the house, both teams immediately went for that picture. They didn't pull any of the other ones off. They just found that one first. I just think it's very interesting considering how one of the teams did basically everything wrong the first time. But when they
I think
went
it's
for the
because
picture, they found
that. I think the reason they did that is because that picture was closest to the door of the room.
Yeah, but I just think
anyway,
they didn't go
behind
down
that behind that picture, which unfortunately I can't tell what is of, is a Polaroid photo of a key in someone's hand. And with this clue, you'll discover that the key to unlock Alex was in his hands the whole time, and you can just unlock him from there.
Which one of the only times that Alex does not volunteer information to help you get the task. Like a lot of times, if you ask him to do something, he'll do it, and you can win the task that way. Because when the Beards were doing it, they actually said Al patted Alex down, like, you've got to have the key on you somewhere, and Alex did not volunteer.
He was so close. Like Al was so close.
They were so close a lot of times because they also paged through the Gregor Davies book and just didn't know it yet. They looked behind the pop art painting. Which also, one more thing, and then I'm done, is that I think it's very interesting they use the code 911 because for those
that's
of you
the
who are
American
not
emergency number.
That's the American version of 999, which if they'd done this to a bunch of Americans, I think there would have been at least one person that would have either tried to call 911 or would have started looking for like a fire extinguisher or a first aid kit. Because that would have been like, emergency services, that sort of thing.
Although maybe because American culture is such a strong influence in the UK, that people would have probably suspected that anyway.
Maybe. I'm just spitballing here because I thought it was very interesting they used that specific set of numbers.
Yeah. There has to be some... Well, the digits add up to 11. So, there
Number
must be
theory is
some
pointless.
significance to that number.
There must be, but I have no idea what it is.
There's another number in a task, a couple of series. In Champion of Champions, in fact, there's a number. And for a long time, no one knew what it meant until someone on Reddit worked it out very, very recently. I'd say like 7 or 8 months ago, someone worked out what it meant. And it was at that moment that everyone's minds just blew.
Huh. Well, we can get to that when we do the Champion of
We
Champions.
will, but anyway, if you know the meaning of 911 in this instance, if there is any meaning, please let us know at the email.
Or in the comments of the YouTube video.
Exactly. Anyway, so now that we know the correct way, the full way to release Alex, we'll first talk about Rob and Sarah. So they get to the look on the phone step, and they obviously start looking at the physical phone. And Rob asks Alex, why is there spunk on your phone?
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah. We don't need to explain that.
Any British person, especially if you watch The In-Betweeners, you'll know what spunk is. For those of you who don't know what spunk is, because I probably should have explained it, spunk is slang for semen.
Yep. Fun fact: one of the many anecdotal reasons why American bottled water brand Dasani supposedly failed in the United Kingdom in 2005 was that they ran an ad campaign claiming that it had spunk, which is actually not true. That specific ad was a very limited electronic banner ad that didn't get very far. There's actually a much more fascinating story behind why that brand failed. It's on Tom Scott's channel. It's 20 minutes long. It's very good. That's not relevant to this, but I thought I should mention it because that's like my one relevant fact about this.
So, Rob makes that comment and asks Alex what he's been doing. They follow it. They crack the code on the box. They complete the jigsaw, find the book, go to the shed, pull the cracker, look at the pictures. Rob takes the picture down. It is the first picture he takes down, and I have to assume that's because it's the closest door. It was the closest to the door of the room he was in, which was the room Alex was in. The picture just falls out. Rob sees it, and you can hear him say, "It's in his hand." And then he goes back into the room. And I'm just going to drop a soundbite in of what Rob says, and I'll make sure it's uncensored for a change, because a lot of the soundbites have been censored because I've got them off YouTube. But I found you can also get soundbites of Daily Motion, which are uncensored.
Oh, it's not in his hand, is it? Oh, you fucking arsehole.
So yeah, Rob says that, and it just throws everyone into a sense of laughter, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And Greg describes them as a couple of Nazi kids freeing a prisoner, which is essentially the plot of Jojo Rabbit in one sentence.
Yeah, it is.
I should probably put a spoiler warning.
It's not that big of a spoiler.
Okay. Yeah, so that's essentially the journey they take. The Beards, as they're called, which is the wise old men and Paul Chowdhury. Are you going to grow up?
No, I'm not.
Oh shit! I just dropped my phone. It's all right.
That's nice.
Anyway, the I know they're called the Beards, but I wrote the Bears in my notes for some reason. Anyway, they open a random, so they see the your time starts now thing, and the first thing they do is they find a bottle with a message in it, which serves no purpose. I didn't even write it down because it's just so irrelevant.
It was a red herring.
They take the big picture of Greg down, and they find they do get the UV pen. They see Release Alex on the task. And I should say what Paul does is he takes the box that has the jigsaw in it, and they think that's the box with the key in it. And so Al and Dave are
doing
around.
all the work, and Paul is trying to. He's just
trying to. I don't know how you can pick a combination lock, especially
You'd be surprised how easy some of these things are to pick by feel.
Also, it's a combination lock, so it's a combination lock. So there's only 1,000 options. I mean, I say only 1,000.
But you'd be surprised. I've actually managed to pick open combination locks by feel.
That's impressive.
It's not difficult in some brands, but we're getting off track.
I should say that the combination lock I lose for everything is a. Sorry, I think something just happened. But anyway, I'm sure you got my PIN code.
Yeah, no, it.
Did something happen to your microphone too?
A little bit, yeah.
They heard it. It's all right. We don't need to repeat ourselves. Anyway, so Paul continues to just try and unlock the combination box. I think they get it eventually. They look on the phone. Does it? Oh no, I think they take the Greg Davies Karma book, and they say it has 268 pages in it, which doesn't help.
They try that, and it doesn't work. They eventually figure out look at the phone.
Dave finally finds look on the phone, and they don't realize it's the phone on the picture. And you can see as Al Murray in the VT walks past the phone, Al Murray in the studio goes like, "Oh God damn it," to himself.
Yeah, they eventually figure this out, but it takes them a while, during which point they visit every step of the clue in different orders.
They do indeed.
We better speed this up. You're starting to yawn.
No, it's all right. We're doing quite well for a change. So they finally find the 911 on the phone, and Al says that they're a trio of dickheads.
We are a trio of dickheads.
Yeah.
Anyway, they complete the puzzle, the book clue, the shed clue, the picture clue, and then they find the key in his hands, and
Al
Alex is free.
sounds so disgusted when he realizes that it's in Alex's hands, because as I mentioned, he patted Alex down.
Because he was livid. He was livid.
He was furious.
Anyway, in the studio, Greg describes them as three great minds or a trio of dickheads, depending on which way you look at it. Now, I should say that I have a slight issue in the way this was scored. But I should say that the Beards took 27 minutes and 37 seconds. The Aryan Twins, 16 minutes, 46 seconds, so they win the task. And the way team tasks have been scored in the past, they say a maximum of 5 points is given in total. So say normally like the winning team will get 3 points, the losing team will get 2, say. I think that's what's happened, unless the losing team does absolutely awfully. But Rob and Sarah both get 5 points each, and the rest of them get nothing, which is, I personally think that was a bit unfair. I think I would have given Rob and Sarah 3, and the grown-ups 2. But I'm not Taskmaster Joe, so I don't get a jingle.
I mean, I really am not opposed to that way. I mean, I'm all for an all or nothing sort of thing.
I mean, I wish it was more clear that that was the case beforehand, because
I can.
I mean, it wouldn't have upped the tension at all, because the task would already have been done unless it was told in the task. But anyway, that means the scores are: Rob is flying into the lead; he has 14 points. Sarah and Dave are both on 8. Al is on 7, and Paul Chowdhury is trailing behind on 3 points. 3 points. I think that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, you want to talk this next task?
Yes, I would. So, my notes start for this paint ! Because how wrong I was. This is create
You're
the
an-
best
you're an
upside-down
idiot.
self-portrait using only the materials supplied. I thought it was paint at the beginning. Create the best upside-down self-portrait using only the materials supplied. The Taskmaster will judge the picture when it's been rotated 180 degrees. You have 20 minutes. Your time starts now. They're all outside. I believe they're all in the dark, like it's night out, and around the side of the Taskmaster house. They are provided with art supplies. Art supplies. Heavy emphasis on air quotes there, because these are in fact condiments. Which I'm just going to list this off really quick: ketchup, mustard, brown sauce, bread, sandwich cream, whipped cream, and I think mayonnaise might have been in there.
Sorry, my phone started making noise.
I have no idea why these were specifically chosen, although just to point out now, Paul Chowdhury thinks it's racist that there was more white colored stuff and not enough brown sauce. But that's...
I should say, when Paul Chowdhury says white, does he mean like whipped cream white, or does he mean more like burger, like there's a kind of like peachy colored sauce that normally goes on burgers?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's also really unclear what stuff is what, because they don't say it, unlike most of the other ones. In fact, this one is really put together rather shoddily. It is introduced as, Alex, do you have a quick thing for us?
Did you say they had to paint them upside down?
The image would be rotated 180 degrees and
you
judged. Did. As Sarah Pascoe realized, she could just do it differently and it would just look different upside down. So, because actually, if I'm being entirely honest, not a lot of the painting process is shown. It's not edited together very well, and you really don't have any idea, except for, could you please put the soundbite of Paul complaining that the lack of brown sauce is racist? Because that was really funny.
From the studio or the
from the task.
location?
From the task.
Okay.
Yeah, from the location.
I've run out of brown. You should have provided me with more brown. You know this. This is racist. I mean, it's pretty obvious. You give me loads of white, no brown. Done.
Okay,
yeah,
that's in.
That made me laugh. I would do very badly in this task, by the way, because I can't draw to save my life, much less do so upside down. But
I think this wouldn't have been too hard, to be honest. I think this is a task I probably would have enjoyed.
But anyways, I took a screenshot of this. I'm looking at it right now, so I know what they look like. Al and Dave's self-portraits actually look very good. Al even used...
Al's looks really weirdly... Because it's like... You can see... It's not really like... He's not like drawn it in like a cartoony sense like Dave did.
No, it looks like him. I don't
Except
know what
that Al's,
he used.
I'd say that Al's portrait has more hair on the top of his head than the real Al Murray does.
Yeah. I just don't know what Al used to like make the skin tone. I don't know which sauce that is, but it looks very realistic.
If there was white sauce, he probably mixed it with ketchup or something.
Okay, but
because red and white make pink, which would be a more accurate...
I know Thousand Island is around that color too, but I didn't see that one in there. Dave Gorman did a very like basic sketched outline of his face, although he did put some interest. He did make his beard very prominent. It's very cartoony. Sarah Pascoe, she drew hers right side up, but made the effort of having her hair and everything face upwards, because when it was rotated upside down, it would be a portrait of herself doing a cartwheel, which is very interesting. Or a handstand. Rob Beckett had some issues with the whipped cream he used for his teeth running down his face, but is still very true to life. Actually, most of his stuff did run down his face, but it looks kind of like him. And then Paul Chowdhury, who is supposedly an artist, was very upset at his materials. And it's very impressionist. Let's put it that way. It's very impressionist. And that's it.
Rob's white paint ran, and it still looks like him.
Yeah, his teeth grew a little bit because he was excited.
It's like he's got a huge underbite.
Yeah, and it's a very strange set of pictures, but
I should say though, I have something I want to say because this is quite important. Greg Davies describing Dave Gorman's portrait as he's scoring it is, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this. Jesus Christ, are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. Why?
You sound like you dropped your microphone.
I did not. Actually, I was trying to figure out how to make this next bit quieter because there is... You remember how I said I'm next to a train track?
Yeah.
There's one that's going to come by now. Here, we can get our allotment of train noise.
Okay, we can... What I say can wait a second.
Yeah, we can take this bit out if you'd like. I apologize.
No, it's quite funny. It's quite funny to have some like really properly unscripted moments.
You think there's no scripting at all here? Yeah. So see how quiet this is if you want to use this for your sleep audio. And this is in a town with a no train horn on it.
That's like that. I love that classic bell ringing American railway crossing sound.
Yeah. This is in a town
like
with no train horn.
Like, have you seen the first Cars movie where Lightning McQueen's just been separated from Mac, and he's trying to beat a train?
I know exactly the scene you're describing.
Yeah, and you hear the ding, 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 ding.
It's much louder in real life when a train blows its horn right next to you. I'm really glad I'm here and not someplace where there's not a train horn ordinance, because that would have blown out everyone's ears.
Anyway, I need to say something very important about Greg Davies' description of Dave Gorman's painting. So if you're back in your car.
Yes, I am in my car.
So I should say Greg Davies' description of Dave Gorman's picture is, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, genuinely in my top 3 favorite Taskmaster moments.
Really?
Yes. I'll just play a clip.
Third, fourth, fifth. I'm going to give third to Dave because that face it gives me an element of joy because I think he's making this noise. Boo!
I love it because it's just like, I feel like the clip just like encapsulates a side of Greg Davies that the later series don't really have. Just that sense of, that childlike sense of excitement, just being excited by the smallest of things. And the noise, the face and the noise as well is just so funny. Because Greg Davies is a man who's not afraid to look stupid. And he just turns around and goes, "Boo!" to the audience.
Yeah. Yeah,
I just love that.
That's great.
I just love it so much. It's one of those moments I like play on repeat because it just goes, "Eee, I'm so happy," kind of thing. I'm not joking.
Oh my God.
That's genuine.
No, that's great.
That's genuinely how it makes me feel. And also because I watched the episodes on a slightly faster speed, it sounds even funnier. Like you should hear it goes like, I'm gonna like. I might even I'll play it in like a 2 times the speed just to hear it, but I'll give a sort of
you should just like take this, like figure out a way to record that sound from the 1.5 times speed and drop it in the episode right here.
That was me making the noise, not Greg. Anyway, actually I want Greg's face when he makes that noise to be the thumbnail of the episode.
Okay. Take a screenshot of that and send it to me. It'll be great.
Because, oh God, I love it so much because it's so the childlike excitement in Greg Davies' face captures in this weird 50-year-old man. I mean, he probably wasn't 50 at the time; he was late 40s. But in this man who was this middle-aged man who's probably well over the age, his childhood is well past him, who doesn't have any children of his own that can't channel his childishness through, to see him just be so excited over something so, I don't know, simple. It's like when an adult makes silly faces at a baby. It's just like, oh god, it's the cutest thing in the world. That's what this reminds me of for Greg.
Oh, that's great.
I mean, it's a very
great way of viewing it.
It's a very, I don't know, I just feel very personally like it's a very cute moment. And it sort of just shows like Greg Davies can still, as a 50-something man, just be excited as a small child over the smallest of things. And I think that's a very important thing to remember, that we can still have a childlike wonder about us even as we get older.
That's unexpectedly heartwarming from a 3-second line that I actually forgot to put in my notes because I didn't really think too much about it.
So yeah, that will always just be one of my favorite short spurts from Taskmaster because of just how it makes me feel inside. Anyway, the scores: Al Murray's gets 5, Sarah's gets 4, Dave's beer face gets 3, Rob and Paul both get 2.
No, I can put them joint last. I think they both get 1.
Oh no, it says on the Taskmaster wiki, in order for the final scores to work out, he gave them 2 points.
Okay, so last place, but not last point. Okay.
Yeah. So
now we do get to have the full Taskmaster Joe theme for once because.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Taskmaster Joe.
I apologize for whatever Emerson did to it that time, but
I didn't do anything because it's just the normal Taskmaster Joe.
Well, here we go. So I would give Al's first. I would give Al first place because his is the one that looks the most like him, followed by Dave Gorman. Dave and Al's both look like them. Sarah, I don't totally dig it because it is not it doesn't really have her face in it and everything. It doesn't, but it's better than Rob and Paul's. I would give Rob 4th, and then Paul I give last place to for his impressionist nightmare.
Ugh. I mean, I didn't
Dave and like it then.
I don't think Rob and Paul should have been graded on the same level. Really unfair.
I put Rob second to last because I think that Rob's is okay. It's just not as good as any of the other ones.
Yeah, I can see that. Oh, I'm getting tired.
Okay, very quickly, speed run this next one.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of balloons laid out in a formation, and the task is to pop the balloons as quickly as possible. Rob hates popping balloons, and he's not the first Taskmaster contestant to feel that way. Josh Widdicombe. Paul tries using his foot to pop the balloon, but it won't stay still because it's just dangling from a flimsy pole.
We should also notice that the task is inside the balloon.
That's why they were trying to pop it. And Al Murray says the balloons look like they're in Morse code because there's some of them are like more the traditional round-shaped balloons. Some of them are more long sausage-shaped, like dashes. And Al's not wrong, but we'll get to that in a second. So Dave and Sarah took very similar approaches. They just popped the balloons with their teeth. It was quite a slow process. There's really not a lot to say in this task. Dave took 1 minute 50, Sarah 1 minute 58, and also Sarah's balloons make some funny noises as she pops them. Paul and Rob are grouped together because they have a similar tactic. Paul gets a sharp object, which I can't tell what it is. Do you know what it is?
I think it looks like Wolverine's. I think it's like some kind of like drawing tool. Like there are things. Is it like a compass? where you can put it in the middle of the paper and then you can draw a perfect circle with a pencil.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, the compass has like one tiny little point on one end of the stick, and the other end's normally shorter to accommodate the pencil. This is like a compass if it was mixed with a pair of scissors.
I don't know what it is. Paul Chowdhury, if you're still listening to this podcast and you want to write in and tell us exactly what it was, or if you happen to be anybody else on the staff of Taskmaster.
Also, if you are Chowdhury, please don't.
Let us know.
Also, if you are Paul Chowdhury, please don't hate me. Anyway, Rob's method is very similar. He gets 2 corkscrews and just stabs them at the balloons.
Although he does say that one of them was better than the other, so he started using just one towards the end.
Fair enough. Paul was, like Alex said, Paul was not much quicker than the teeth users. 1 minute 26 for Paul, and Rob 31.6 seconds. And then Al Murray's left to last, and he tries to gather up all the balloons in laundry bags and pop them using a mixture of his feet and a cricket bat. And some of the balloons fly away, which I think they use a mixture of helium and heavy gas. I don't know what really you could use it, but yeah.
Oxygen, maybe?
Oxygen, probably. I don't know. I don't know what, like... I know because people use helium balloons for, like, parties and stuff, but...
Yeah.
Or you could just, like, they could have been self-blown up with human lungs. But in spite of losing a few balloons and lumping them all together, Al only took 34.6 seconds. Oh, we should have mentioned that it wasn't a your time starts now task. It was a your time starts from when you pop the first balloon.
Yeah, which is was not the most reading comprehension heavy cast this time because Dave and Sarah did not realize that this meant they could go inside and get tools.
Exactly.
Which actually, Greg made fun of them for that in the studio. But
exactly.
Then we do have to mention the fact that the balloons they look sort of like they're in Morse code, don't they?
Yeah, like they said. And the I can't really play I would play an audio clip, but it's pointless because it would just be like
it's in Morse code. You could. If you would like to translate Morse code,
I mean it's translated for us. The balloons are in Morse code, and they translate to pop just 2 and win. Which Al pointed out. Now, I would like to mention the scores. So I'll quickly rattle off the scores. Rob gets 5, Paul 4, Dave 3, Sarah 2, and Al 1. I'm not quite sure why Al only gets 1 point because yes, he did lose a couple of the balloons. But since you only had to pop 2 to win, shouldn't he be in second?
No. Pop just 2. The just is important. If you pop 2 balloons and then stop, you win.
Oh.
If it's that's the whole thing. It
implies
that you know how to read Morse code and like pop just 2, and then you can just be like pop, and then you win.
I mean, okay, I get it now because I didn't really before. So yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's not really like the whole Debajo de la Meso on the boat because Morse code is a lot harder to understand, especially if you have no experience in understanding Morse code like me.
Yeah. Although I feel as though this would not happen again. If this episode were done now, it would not end that way because nowadays, if you noticed that something was like, oh, that looks like Morse code. Wait a minute, I'm on Taskmaster. And then go to Google, how to translate Morse code.
I mean, there have been, even in future series, there have been hidden messages right in front of the contestants, but they have been easier than this Morse code one. I think the only one I can think of off the top of my head is the one in series 6. We'll talk about that when the time is right for it, though.
Yeah.
So I've rattled off the scores. Rob Beckett, with one live studio task to go, Rob Beckett leads with 21. Dave has 15, Sarah 14, Al 13, and Paul has 9. Joe, would you like to tackle the studio task so we can all just go home?
Yes, I would. Right, Rob Beckett, as you mentioned, is leading. That's very portentous because this live task is unravel a whole roll of sticky tape. Put the unraveled tape in your lunchbox. Close your lunchbox. Fastest time wins. Which they are provided with a big roll of clear masking tape, a plastic lunchbox, and that's it. They have to, when Alex blows the whistle, and before that you can't even look at the tape.
You can't fiddle with the tape to find the end. You're told to look up at the ceiling. They don't say hands behind your back, but I think hands behind your back should have been a requirement.
And when that happens, everybody just starts frantically unrolling it. Most of the time, there's no real strategy involved. And oh my God, is there another train coming? I'm going to talk really quickly so I can't be get over audioed by it. Anyways, everyone just sort of starts wrapping it like around their hands or around their arms, except for Dave Gorman, who's like throwing it up in the air for a minute or two, and then out of nowhere comes and then who got it first? Al got it first. Al was quite obviously the fastest one. Then we get Paul somehow, then Dave, and then weirdly enough, Rob is done, but Rob manages to somehow. Oh my God! There it goes. That's very loud.
Well, it's fun to have new environments for our episodes to be recorded in.
Can we just have this episode be called like, train background audio to go to sleep to?
What if we called it like a train I like trains or Metrosexual?
Maybe we could.
You know what? Let's just go with Metrosexual, and then for no reason at all have the picture of Greg's face going BAM!
Yes, that's.
How many times have I broken you today?
It's very funny. Shush, you're on form today. Anyways, moving on very quickly. Rob Beckett did not clearly understand the task. Rob Beckett wrapped it around his hand.
I thought the ball gags was the funniest moment.
Wrapped it around his hand and couldn't get it off and couldn't get it in the lunchbox. And then Sarah Pascoe was last, but it doesn't really matter because Rob, I don't think, gets any points for this because they cut.
Rob didn't complete the task.
Yeah, Rob didn't complete. Actually, they cut to afterwards when they're sitting back in the chairs. Rob still has the tape around his hand. Rob can't get it off. It's really funny to see him like struggling at this, and he just can't get it off. So he's like, he's trying to figure out how to take it off, and it's just not working. But it's really funny to watch him struggle like that at the end of this.
Rob comes last. Al gets 5, Paul 4, Dave 3, Sarah 2, Rob 1. Or does Rob get no points at all? I don't think Rob gets any points.
I don't know.
Because Rob finishes on 21 points.
So then he didn't get any points at all, which is very interesting.
Yeah, so he didn't complete it, to be honest. So it said 1 in my notes, but I don't think that's right, because Rob came into the last task on 21 points, and he finished on 21 points. But in spite of getting no points at all in the final task, Rob still wins the episode. He has 21 points. Al came second with 18. Dave has 17. Sarah 16. And Paul has 13.
Yes. And that's the episode.
It is indeed. We have
Rob
finally...
Beckett takes home a lump of marble.
And some melon in it.
Melon in it.
Yeah, some rotten melon in it.
Melon in it.
And a stuffed toy snake, which I'm sure his new baby would love.
Yes. And
anyways,
that's our episode.
That is a wrap.
At a trim hour and 32.
I mean, we've done shorter.
Yeah.
Anyway, you probably better get home. I better go to bed. Ladies and
Go to
gentlemen,
bed.
this has been your Time Starts Now, a Taskmaster podcast. I think I broke Joe multiple times this episode, but I can reassure you the next time we record, he will be back to full form. Ladies and gentlemen, you have something to say? No,
I don't. Goodbye.
You interrupted my... Oh, for fuck's sake. Bye! Go home!
Bye, Emmy. Goodbye.